Perfect. Well, thanks for taking the time to come on. Appreciate you making the effort.
Thanks, man. Um, I've been listening to a few of your pods, and I just gotta say that you've like the real voice for it. Like I feel like you sound like a legit podcaster. Like I don't know, it's like the radio voice or something. Also, it sounds like you got like the questions locked up. I don't know. It sounds good.
I'm glad you're liking it. Yeah, quite a few of the people that I've interviewed so far have been somewhat like fans of the show. So it's good to have that feedback. It's like it's very low key. That's all. The setup is all very basic, but my aim is just to highlight as many interesting guests as possible.
Yeah, I feel like I was just trying to do my research to get like your vibe because like yeah, we've been in like mutual group chats and like in mutual circles, but I really wanted to see like what you were all about. Um, but yeah, also it's cool. Like I think that everyone in Teapot, especially people that like you might bring on a podcast, are all really interesting. Um, and all have like unique perspectives relative to like Mark Andreessen goes on like Lex Friedman or whatever.
Hmm.
But like I don't really care about that. That doesn't really like relate to me in my life that much. Like those guys are kind of out of touch with like what my life looks like. Whereas like people in Teapot that are doing good, it's like they're kind of like me. Maybe like a few years down the road or something. But I relate to them a lot more.
Yeah, it feels a lot more realistic. Like 'cause a lot of people that I've talked to, they're beginners, up and comers. They're just starting out their career, or they're like midway through it. So a lot of the things that they talk about, it's not as if like it's out of someone's reach. Like it's actually attainable. Like a lot of the people that I've talked to, especially like Jivin or Luca Lot, or even Weiju Weeb, they're all just kind of starting out with what they're doing and just pushing to prod like fucking animals and just making magic happen.
Yeah, accurate. Exactly. That's the goal. That's the dream.
Yeah, it's speaking of which, I stumbled upon your account first when I saw you launch this LLM for the JFK files. How did that come about? Is it just something that like you saw on your feed and you immediately were like, "Fuck it, this is a worthwhile project."
Bro, there's so much I could say about this. I was at my day job, and I think I saw the news on like the TVs at work. I work
Hmm.
like on a trading floor, so there's like all these TVs with like Bloomberg and other crap. Um, and I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, that's funny. Trump's funny. Like he's doing a bunch of really silly stuff his first few days.
Hmm.
Um, like irrespective of my political opinion. But and then someone in like a few of the group chats I was in dropped the like zip file to all like the old JFK files,
Hmm.
and immediately like a few of us like our first thoughts were like, holy crap, like we don't read documents anymore. This is 2025. We like put them in an LLM and like we rag them, right? We don't. No one's actually reading like research papers. You're just doing like QA over it with LLMs. Um, and the rest of the day at work, I couldn't get that out of my head. And like I never like really did like a sprint on a project like this before, and so part of me was like, I wonder if I can do it in like a night, you know? And so when I got home from work, I was like, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, look, like I can't talk. I'm gonna build this for the next 4 hours, and maybe it's gonna go huge on Twitter or whatever. Um, and I did, and I launched it within like 4 hours, and it blew up more than I thought it was going to, especially at first it didn't really do that great, and I was like, oh, cool, like 30 likes. That's like more than I normally get. Um, and then I was going to sleep, and then like my servers were crashing, and I was like, shit. And I had to get up and like reprovision some of the infra on my app, and like I was like doing the whole like up all night thing, which was really unique, and I've never done that before. So, um, like my dopamine circuits were fried from that sort of like virality that I've never had before. But like that was such a cool experience, and yeah, now I feel like I have sort of a platform now to like build more stuff potentially on top of this or potentially like other similar things because now I feel like I've learned a lot about like what people like and like how to build interesting things that the community's interested in.
Wicked, yeah. And I mean, of all the projects to kind of get your feet wet with that, the JFK files, that's a massive undertaking. I mean, even with like the previous releases, not even the newest ones, that's interesting. Have you learned anything like throughout this experience, like regarding the JFK assassination that you didn't know before?
It's funny because I don't know anything. I'm not good at history. Like I want to be the kind of guy that like knows a lot of history, studies like the Roman Empire, right? That like
Hmm.
does all that stuff. I've just never been super motivated to like read history books. Even when it comes to like U.S. history, right? I've lived in the U.S. my whole life. I was always bad at history, like in school. I was only good at math, obviously. Um, but yeah, I like didn't know the background of it. I all of my test cases are like very dumb, simple questions, like who killed him.
Mm.
So like unfortunately, I'm not learning as much about the history as I probably could have. But we'll see. We'll see as it evolves because hint, hint, wink, wink. Um, I am trying to put some more elbow grease into it because eventually one day, right, they're gonna release the new documents, and I need to be like really interesting, ready to go, and potentially a full fledged product by then because it's clear that like the market wants it, so I got to figure out how to give it to them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing what actually gets released and what gets implicated. Just as an idea, I had while you were talking about that because there's so many interwoven stories with the JFK assassination, and I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about it.
Of
I've
course, yeah.
done like little research here and there. There's a really good podcast series that also covered it. I think it's called. I want to look it up. It's something like Consequences, but each season they cover a new story. So like they did one on the Iraq War, did one on the Vietnam War. Let me see if I can
So many
find
cool
it here.
podcasts like that. I like have some favorited that I always just skip over because there's just so much stuff to keep up with. It's so hard to find time.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, because the episodes are like an hour long. The audio is always like really high quality. They have like a sound stage that they set up. They get all this like old
Yeah,
timey footage. Yeah, I do not have the wherewithal to be able to make a show like that. But it's called Blowback. Great series. Highly recommend it. They try to capture as much of the story using the actual source material, so like newsreel footage or actual interviews with people on the ground. Um,
sweet.
Biographic documents, like anything as close to like the original sources they can, and they try to um they preface like everything else or every kind of other conclusion they make with like, hey, like this is just a best estimation. We don't know for sure. Like we don't know exactly what was said in the back rooms. But yeah, great series. They did one, so yeah, on the Iraq War. Then they did one on the Cuban Missile Crisis, where they also mentioned the JFK stuff. But yeah, great series. Highly recommend watching it.
Yeah. It's funny though because like the people that are like commenting, the people that are following me, like probably know more about this whole backstory than me, and like they like ask me questions in the comments. They're like, "Oh, this is such an interesting like take from your system. Like, what do you think about it?" And I'm like, "I have nothing useful to contribute to this besides the fact that I'm the nerd that taped it all together."
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough. But one idea, one thing that you could do, like with the new release when it comes out, I don't even know if this is possible with an LLM. But this would be essentially like something short of setting up an AI agent or kind of giving the LLM a personality. So I don't know if this
Yeah.
would work with the prompting, but you could potentially ask it about a specific character that's in that story and see like, okay, can you explain to me what their perspective was of the like entire JFK assassination just from that person? It would be interesting to see something like that.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I mean, like, because I mean, you mentioned how complicated the story is. Like, you can imagine that there's a whole web of like, it's like a knowledge graph. That's a
Hmm.
whole nother project, you know? Like actually connecting all those pieces, classifying different like, clusters of knowledge. Like if someone else is listening and wants to get involved in this, like do that because I'm not gonna do that. And if you're really a big nerd, I'm picturing like the meme from It's Always Sunny when they're
Oh
connecting
yeah, yeah.
this is connecting all the dots. Like that could be you with the JFK files, if you wanted to.
No, absolutely. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for all the disclosures. It's nothing short of incredible that we're living in that time now where like president comes in and within like the first week, just the absolute like fucking full steam ahead, going forward with everything, doing everything.
Yeah,
It's
and
nothing short of incredible.
I don't mean to change the subject, but I was just watching the news today, and
Hmm.
apparently, the White House, I don't know if it was top down from Trump or not, but they released what was happening with the drones in New Jersey.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
And so and, like, it's funny that it slid under the radar, like, it's not on that's I didn't see it on Twitter. The news was simply that FAA cleared it, right? So it was like a federal, Aeronautics Association. Is that what FAA is, right? Like,
I
they
think
cleared
so,
it
yeah.
from the federal level to have these drones do. I think it was just research. That's what the quote was. That's all we know.
Wow.
So yeah, this is rare breaking news coming to you right here. Um,
Holy shit. That's
it's
insane.
almost like it's almost like maybe it didn't break the internet because we all just knew that this is what it was. you know,
Mhm.
like it clearly wasn't like China or something or Iran. Like or else they would have been shot down. It was clearly our government. Um, not that it's malicious. It's just silly that like they didn't tell us and they had us scared.
Yeah, that's wild. Cause like, I remember seeing footage of people, like, going out and, like, taking pot shots at the drones with their fucking rifles, and I was like, "Well, I look, in a country like America, like, I are you really gonna do that and just
Yeah,
expect the people to be like, 'Oh, yeah, no, this is fine, like, this is okay.' No, somebody's gotta go out there with a fucking gun and take
yeah.
matters into their own hands. Are you like, you can't have this shit."
Yeah, and, like, my whole family is, like, New Jersey, New York, so, like, to me, this is kinda serious. Like, there's rumors of it being, like, something to do with, like, nuclear warheads or, like, some
Mhm,
type of, like,
mhm.
chemical warfare, right? And, like, I heard that and I was like, "This is us, like, why don't we know?" Like, I knew it was just a rumor, but, like, yeah, it's cool that it's I mean, hey, they still could be looking for that, right? They didn't clear that that one hypothesis, but, um,
Exactly.
well, it's cool that somebody knows and they release some information.
Yeah, and that nuclear stuff, from what I heard, it was because, apparently, or so the story went, that, some kind of nuclear material, activated or otherwise, was misplaced, and they were using the drones to find it. Which, I mean, the American government did at one point, while they were transporting an inert nuclear bomb, just drop it in like South Carolina. I don't know if you know about that.
No, I don't. I don't know this lore.
Yeah, so I think this was in the '60s. Um, they accidentally dropped an inert nuclear bomb. There were a couple incidents like this, but I think this was the more like famous one. And yeah, it just, because it was inert, obviously didn't go off and it didn't detonate. So 1958 in South Carolina, a B-47 bomber accidentally released a Mark 6 nuclear weapon over a farm in the rural Morris Bluff community.
Yeah, dude. The mid 1900s, a crazy time.
My God. And so when I hear stuff like this, and then I see the drones, and I'm like, well, that doesn't sound implausible. It totally sounds possible that this could have happened. So who the fuck knows? There was another incident where, what's it called? Um, some nuclear silo, some dudes working on it, like on an American military base, ordered Domino's, and when the guy arrived for the delivery, the hangar door was completely wide open, and like some of the guys were passed out because they were pulling their like third or fourth night shift.
Nice, nice. That's a classic one.
Right. So when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, okay, well, maybe everyone's not like on 100% like ready alert, fully competent working in their positions. There's gonna be people that are, midwits or whatever the fuck, that just fall asleep at the wheel. It happens. It happens.
Of course, yeah, yeah, yeah. I do think it's funny. Like we talked like a bit about like conspiracies or like American history lore, but like I've literally never been. I don't know anything about like I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like
Hmm.
it just happens to be that um I like doubled my Twitter followers, and probably most of them are like JFK conspiracy theorists. Um, but that's like it's just funny that you know, this is not my subject matter expertise.
It is now. You're gonna
It is
learn by
not, yeah,
you're gonna learn by force at this point. You're just with the sheer
yeah,
exposure, people just throwing shit at you. They're like, oh, what about this? What about that? You're like, oh, I never knew that.
yeah. It's interesting though because like that's the nature of like software engineering, right? Like you go to school to get this degree in like using computer tools, but like you have to apply them to something, so you end up having to build a niche, and like you're not
Hmm.
formally taught in that. And like so I work in finance like full time. Um, like I'm like kind of working on a running app part time, and also apparently like a JFK chatbot part time. But like right, you build this subject matter, you have to have some context. There's no such thing as like coding in a vacuum.
Interesting. So with your current day to day, you said you work in finance. Are you actually like on the trading floor, or like what is your position?
Yeah, so we're a machine learning engineering team, but like we're a little bit we focus on natural language processing. Um, so a lot of the things that happen on the trading floor are like are tabular data or numerical data. We're
Hmm.
more focused on anywhere where there's like rich textual data in the company. And so the biggest application, and like just going to keep this conversation on a high level so I don't get like, I don't know, fired or something. um, it's just working with brokers, right? Because brokers are chatting and calling and talking all day about their trades, and so we actually have a huge volume of that kind of text data that we work with.
So when you say that, do you mean like the conversations are like transcribed by the software that you guys built, and then you get alpha or whatever, just market indicators from it, or?
No, so like it's mostly like AI agent in the loop sort of things to help them with tasks, and also like text to SQL chatbots, and also uh, like post trade analytics. Like there's a lot of things that you could do. When you have this vast amount of like these like trade chats, and it's a pretty challenging problem. It's really fun too. It's like because it's a completely unknown space, right? Anyone who else is working in this like very niche space is not sharing their information online as we aren't, right? Because
Hmm.
it's like highly proprietary data. Like it's literally like trades of huge clients like JP Morgan and stuff. Um, and so yeah, for that reason, it's like very, very bleeding edge, and it's super interesting. And I really like my job for that reason.
And that must give the traders like, I mean, compared to like pre AI, what they were dealing with. I don't even know what kind of like a layout would what that would look like when you're just getting your info. Because all I know from trading in Wall Street is like just seeing the stock exchange, like that. You ever see the clip of Robert Downey Jr. going to the stock exchange?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so there was one time where he was still up and coming in his career, um, and I don't know if this was for a skit or what, but he ended up spending some time in Wall Street, and he had this clip
The
where
young
it's
guy.
just, oh yeah, he's super young. This is like cocaine Robert Downey Jr. He's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the hard in the paint for it. But there's a moment where like he's standing, yeah, here it is. He's like just he's so lost. Like this is what I imagined, right? It's not. I don't think it's at that level anymore because I all I see are like headsets and they got the tablets or whatever the fuck. But I mean, before AI and all, like this is what trading was. This is fucking insane. I don't even understand how people can make sense of it. I don't. How are you
Yeah,
even processing any amount of data that's coming through? Like everyone's yelling. I just it
yeah,
doesn't make
yeah.
sense to me.
Yes. Yeah. So now it's like when you're trading like stocks or whatever you're on your Vanguard app or like TD Ameritrade, right? It's all computerized. Um, but when you go to like these like kind of niche or exotic like financial instruments, they're still the old-fashioned way because there's not enough volume of them. Um, so like, if you're gonna go and trade like options on like a shipping container going across the Pacific, which they do,
Hmm.
you got to call your trader for that, right? You can't. That's not a ticker on Robinhood.
Yeah.
um, and so they're literally doing this like out loud, and like keeping it all in their head. And so like, right, that's the problem we're trying to solve. We're trying to make sure that no one is missing trades or like fat fingering trades, and yeah, systematizing it all. Um, and it's pretty cool. I mean, like I didn't expect myself to be um, like this deep into finance, but it's just the kind of thing that it pays well, pays similar to tech, like right, like formal big tech, and being like in the New York City area growing up, it was just like the natural thing that
Hmm.
everyone does if they're not in technology or like a lawyer,
I see. I see.
which I'm clearly not a lawyer. If you couldn't tell by the JK.
Yeah, no, I mean, releasing a bunch of documents, not typically lawyer behavior.
Or yeah, yeah, I feel like yeah.
Interesting. So, because I know very little about high level trading, as the average person doesn't. in terms of what that landscape looks like these days, have you just noticed any like specific trends or just things that you've noticed about how these people operate when it comes to investment? Anything that would stick out?
Um, it's hard to say. I mean, like, it's hard to say. I mean, the one thing that's just like really unique is that, and like if you're on Teapot, like you wouldn't think this, is that like there's so many companies that are still like stuck in like right. Not every company operates like AWS
Mm-hmm.
or Google. You know, like there's like we're still emailing back and forth data or like CSV files. You know what I mean? Like just to like business users, and like I think that's the majority of like GDP. You know, not everyone is using like the super fancy stuff and like everything is automated, right? No, like the reality is that most business is not automated, and most business like, there's a lot of room to still to innovate on like the simple things. I don't know if that directly answers your question, but that's just like something that I think popped up in my head when you said that.
No, that does, and it's actually kind of similar to what my last guest that I interviewed. He's a cybersecurity expert working out of India, um, and he told me something similar in the sense that like not every company is going to have a robust IT or cybersecurity system set up or just the infrastructure. A lot of them they don't go about it because it's if it's not a crisis, if it's not a problem in the immediate time right now, that's fine. We
Exactly.
can put it off, no big deal.
Yeah.
But
And so
until like
yeah,
market forces shift for them to kind of be able to explain that to the shareholders or whatever, until then that like only then do they make the transition.
yeah. Yeah, and so the cool thing about working at one of these kinds of companies is that like you if you think you're really good and really capable, like you have a ton of scope, right? And there's so many things, so much value to add just from a very small lever, you know? Um versus if you're working at like an Amazon or equivalent, right? You probably have very small scope and like sure you're working at hyperscale, but it's like, you get claps for like optimizing something by 0.1%. Um when right there's much lower hanging fruit at the majority of companies, and a ton of visibility that comes along with it.
Okay. And in terms of that low hanging fruit, what does it look like for you guys in your company or just the finance sector, like in general?
Yeah, like for instance, there was no one was doing ML, so it was pretty easy for us to come in and like almost like slurp up all of the most obvious use cases that were gonna make the company super profitable, or make our team super profitable. Sorry, um, and like we're still in like research and development phase shortly, like, right? Like we're not, making like millions and billions of dollars, but like there's these use cases that are now like so obvious that we're going all in on, and yeah, like if you did join an Amazon, I was like, if they were like, if I joined Amazon, I'm like Jamie, you can do whatever you want, solve a problem with AI. It's realistically like everyone else is thinking the same thing already. All those problems are probably already being solved or someone's already working on. You have to really um, find something super, super unique at one of those kinds of companies to make a huge impact.
Gotcha. So you find you can get a lot more impact in terms of the directions that your company or others take in regards to the
Yeah,
kind of work that you do.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah.
What do you make of what do you make of the part of the economy that is quote unquote rent seeking? Because I've heard that one of the issues in when it comes to like big financial markets or stock exchanges that there's a good number or a good chunk of people and companies that operate in the space where you're just, I mean, like I said, I don't understand the first thing about trading, but I know that there's like some highfalutin like trading strats that you can use to just get like a fraction of a dollar, but because of your the amount of shares that you buy, like it 10x is 100x is whatever. There's just like all these different ways that you can bet against companies and all that. Um, what do you make of that? Having worked in the industry.
Well, like I used to work at Vanguard, and they're like they're the biggest. They're the like right. They have like trillions of dollars asset under management, and the way they make money is just because like right when that money grows, like a percentage, they make $1 billion or 2 billion or $10 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, wh- what? Yeah, search. What's the so? Okay, here it is. Total. Yeah. Is it 20
Holy
trillion?
shit,
No.
it's
Oh,
9 trillion. What
9
the fuck?
9 trillion for Vanguard, BlackRock has like 11 trillion. Right, those are the two biggest. Um, but yeah, it's just silly that like, right, like I own a ton of Vanguard in my like retirement in my investments, and it's all just these big ETFs. And Vanguard only takes point 0.4 or 0.04% cut of their S&P 500 fund. It's like a silly small amount. It's so much that it's basically free for the users. But when they in aggregate, right, that makes them, a billion, $100 billion, I think, every year, which is
Wow.
ridiculous. And it's such a funny business model because they only have to do anything. So I don't know why they hire all these people. um, but yeah, they should have sit back and reap the rewards of really what it is just capital leverage. Um, you know, it's just like when you have a bunch of money, it compounds a little and you get a bunch more money. They
Interesting.
say this like you'll see a thing where it's like, oh, your net worth explodes when you hit 100K, which is like absolute BS, first of all. But like it is the idea of like, right, as you accrue more capital, it compounds.
Yeah, because dude, I don't even know what the fuck $1 million in person looks like, let alone a billion or a trillion. So when I hear all these stories like, oh, such and such had to pay a fine, or such and such, the stock went up, so now like this is how much their assets are worth. Like all these numbers, they're so far away from me, like just understanding what like the
Right,
value that
right, yeah.
is. Like it's so hard to picture.
Yeah, they're like, the Nasdaq lost $100 trillion or whatever when DeepSeek was released or whatever, and it's just like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
Like what? Like not really. Nothing's really changed, except for some people that sold have more cash in their pocket, I guess. But nothing's really. It's the same thing that happened before. I lost money on Nvidia. Besides that, nothing's changed.
exactly. Yeah. And what do you make of the DeepSeek releases so far? I haven't been on X, so I I have no clue. All I know is that some people are freaking out. Some people are saying
Yeah.
that
So wait, have you talked to anybody on your pod about DeepSeek yet?
no, not really. I think you probably be the first.
Because, dude, it was like everyone on X was obsessed with it for the past 48 hours.
Mhm.
Like it was too much. It was to the point where I even had to post about it because there was nothing else to post about. um, but yeah, I mean it's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. Like it really changes the discourse completely. Um, I feel like I'm not gonna have any original takes just because like everyone has had their take at it at this point. Um, in my opinion, or like I saw someone post that they're like, oh, apparently they only trained it for $5 million,
Mhm.
but that's what they report, right? I think it could be a hoax just the um to scare the West, us, out of like developing more sophisticated model, or whatever it is. I think it's a load of BS. The model's great. I'm happy for great open source models, but I feel like the narratives are completely overblown. Is the moral of the story?
Yeah, because one thing that I heard was that because of the embargo that's set on China, or I don't know if it's an embargo or what the actual term is, but they have a
Yeah, me
limited
neither.
amount of chips that they can that they can purchase from American companies, or companies that are tied to American investments, anyways.
Yeah, yeah,
And so as a
and
result of that, they're like, "Oh, there's no way that they can have these chips." It's like, come on, if they want it, China's gonna get their fucking chips. Like, come on.
yeah. Oh yeah, these chips might have been from before the embargo or whatever. One thing I saw is that everyone's hosting this model on like Mac Minis or whatever those Mac clusters are.
Hmm.
And I think that's really sick, just because it's like, screw it, why not? Like I love that there's like another kind of computer, and like I also love Apple products, so yeah, I'm hyped that you can do that. I'm not gonna spin up a cluster. That's not really my style. But yeah, what, also a Raspberry Pi here?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but I stumbled upon this dude that that hosted. Well, I mean, a version of the model. I think it's only 7B. Let me see. You didn't say which model, but yeah. Oh, we got community noted. Yeah, yeah. It's the smallest and worst model running at low precision. Okay, but still, like that's bro. You could run it on a Raspberry Pi. Look at that hardware. Like it's the fucking size of my wallet.
That was sick. It gives me PTSD from my Raspberry Pi class from university. But yeah, that's sick.
Nothing short of incredible. Yeah. I mean, I like yourself, I don't really have any like original takes on it. I don't even operate in like AIs or LLMs. I don't build this shit. I don't work in software or coding or anything. So I have no
So
like
wait,
technical skills to
did people ever ask you questions on your podcast? I want to hear about your background.
add. Yeah, on occasion people do. I mean, my day job right now, I work at a veterinary clinic as a receptionist. I just needed something to pay the bills, and then I kind of stumbled into a job working for a company called Outsider Supply. That's how I can get Twitter access now. Um, I'm essentially like a generalist for them. They liked some of the stuff that I was writing and my style, so they're like, why don't you work for us? And what we
They
do is,
found you online.
yeah. The founder found me on Twitter. We were just circling like Teapot around the same time, and she was like, "Hey, why don't you come work for us?"
That's so awesome, man. I love the internet that you can just like. It really makes me want to quit my job and just like ride it out. Like I have runway,
Hmm.
um, but I mean, there's a lot of other like moral whatever reasons why I don't want to quit my job. But like, right, it's just to your point. It's like there's so much like serendipity on the internet if you just go all in. Like you can meet cool people, you can do like unique stuff. I'm sure that like this experience, um, is so much more enchanting or like whatever or like like you get like to your fingers in so much more diverse things than like whatever you did before in your career.
Oh, absolutely. I as a result of like working for this brand, it's a clothing brand. We focus on um, different movements of art throughout art history
Yeah.
and bringing them to the present. I don't do any of the designs. They have a whole team for that works on them, but they make all this clothing. And the whole point is to take all these movements and bring them into the 21st century, because in a way we're living through this kind of renaissance, the 21st century renaissance. um,
Yeah.
and through this work I've been able to like, I've started going to like different art galleries and shows and things I would otherwise not be exposed to, and it's really opened my mind from like art just being um, something that's nice to look at, and now I view it as something that is of the utmost, not the utmost importance, but it is absolutely essential to have that in your life and to curate it, because one of the things that like just, I don't know, even looking around at architecture, I look around and I'm like, man, fuck, we used to build good shit, man. We used to build amazing buildings. Art Deco was popping off at one point. Like we used to have some of the most beautiful designs, and there was soul in our. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at that view from New York, man.
Wait, how do I get the right angle? Oh yeah, so wait, we have the Chrysler building, that's like famous art deco, and
Yeah.
then the um Vanderbilt building. But dude, I wanted to interrupt you because I say I love design. Like I didn't think I was gonna be that kind of guy. I thought I was all like numbers, determinism,
Hmm.
like right, math, computers. But like something that's super interesting to me is maybe I'm just a perfectionist, right? So it's like whether it's design of like my application or like even the code, but also even things to like my furniture or like like sometimes it's just really satisfying when things just click, when things just like fit in perfectly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's a bit of life within those things, whether it's just like a piece of furniture or like an actual statue or painting or whatever it is that you have, and it leaves its mark on you in a way that it's just you can't ignore that kind of stuff. Without
Yeah.
aesthetics, we are like we just live in a fucking shit world where everything is a tungsten cube and it's all like shit gray or whatever.
Yeah.
Like no, fuck that, man. Life's got more than enough beauty to enjoy for the rest of us. So yeah, no, I'm right there
Yeah.
with you, man. There is something so important about design that cannot be discounted. And I went to a lecture a couple of months back. This guy hosted it. It was entirely on the history of design and all these different movements throughout time. And one thing that he mentioned was that the reason why a lot of the modern architecture, a lot of like just even product design, like just very basic things that we use every single day. The reason that it seems like they feel soulless or they feel as if we're kind of missing something is because before, right, and like centuries ago, when they used to design things, they would design it for an ideal that was greater than themselves. So whether that was religious, spiritual, what have you, just some ideal that's greater than yourself, and the whole point was to make something that would outlive time and outlive your
Totally.
time on this earth. Which, I mean, when you look at some of the stuff that they used to make, holy fuck! Like I cannot imagine what kind of effort it took to build like the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah. I think that um I see a lot of discourse online about like oh, how come we don't build things like this anymore?
Mhm.
And I don't know. I feel like the reason why they built things like that. Maybe I don't know anything, but it's because that was a way to show your power, right? It was like
Mhm.
how beautiful are your like buildings, how big are your statues, whatever. Um, but like now, I feel like there's just like more outlets to like what you do if you're a powerful rich person, and so maybe that's why there's not enough energy focused on like building beautiful, huge, um, whether it's like skyscrapers or like space stations. Now it's like people do like B2B SaaS or like who knows what.
Yeah, no, that's certainly a valid point. Another reason I think could be that some of these projects, whether it's like massive monuments or just like just buildings like the Chrysler Building or anything like that, there was kind of a sense of national pride and national identity that was tied to the building of these things,
Yeah,
and that's very difficult to do in a society that isn't as like cohesive or like share some ideals. I mean, the space race would not be possible like today if if we never went to space and we lived in the world as we do now, and like now we launched it. It's like it just we don't have the character. I mean, you're talking about in like national campaign on both the US and Russia side to ramp up
yeah,
education, ramp up culture and language and like all these different things, then to build a next generation of like graduates that are going to go on and like do all these great things. That there has to be like a story that kind of interweaves that whole idea. That now it's still possible. It's very very fucking difficult. Like Elon Musk is trying to do that with SpaceX in a way, but he's among the rare that are actually doing that.
yeah. I think you're spot on about like national pride, or maybe that's the wrong way of putting it, but like yeah, it was like you had to like win the battle, so you had a really cool statue to like commemorate it or whatever. Um, but yeah, yeah, Elon's doing it. Um, and it's weird that it's so hard to go back to space, even though we did it so long ago. I know this like issue. I mean, this like idea has probably been spoken about, like for hours and hours. But like, it just like did what happened? Did all of the people that knew how to do rocket science die or retire? Like, what the hell happened?
From my understanding, and this is like just very cursory um, view of it, but I think that just because it didn't become like a national priority anymore. Like there's no need. They had already reached it.
Of
So
course,
at
yeah,
that point,
yeah,
it was just like exploration. And I don't, if there's no aspirations to actually do like any kind of like e-commerce that's associated with that, whether it's something as simple as space tourism or even getting to more complicated things like mining. If there's like no
yeah,
attainable way to do that, then the price, it doesn't really, it can't really, it's very hard to justify it when there's a
so what?
bigger political
Yeah,
agenda at hand.
right now you can't go to the moon because it's like not profitable. Is that the point?
Yeah, that's what it seems like, at least like partially. I mean, there's a lot of moves that like let's say like China is making, for example, to like set up a base on the moon, but I don't know like to what extent that's actually like an economical stance versus something that's just I don't know, maybe like national pride or trying to get like essentially like early dominance on that space so that like at some
Yeah,
point if decades in the future like even though
yeah,
you might be dead, well your ancestors are going to be able to take advantage of like the space that you've conquered. That's what I would assume it is.
yeah. Listen, China can have the moon. Elon's gonna put a U.S. colony on Mars. And that's how the colonization of the solar system is going to start.
Mars is a weird thing because we can only launch once every 2 years,
Yeah, that is crazy.
which is nuts. And there's
That's
only there's a specific place in the world where you can actually like do it effectively. Like you can't just launch from anywhere. There was actually I had a
that's true.
rocket. Yeah, I had this rocket engineer on for one of my earlier episodes. I think his name is Propel. This guy's fucking cracked. He builds this shit in laboratories, like actual rocket
Let's
engines,
go. Let's
um,
go.
which is
This
insane.
guy, this guy needs more followers. This is sick.
Oh yeah,
Everyone,
I got real lucky having him come on the pod. But yeah, this engine he made like all on his own, like completely.
dude,
What he did was
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I would be scared to like, dude, like I don't even trust my oven. Like I could not build a rocket like in my house. That's like holy shit.
Yeah, he's nutty. I mean, this like the tests that he does. He's currently at a university, I think somewhere in the Midwest, where it turns out they have like some of the best programs there. So he's using their lab for like all this testing. But he basically told me he went on this website called McMaster Car or McMaster.com, where they have all the parts for everything that you could ever need in every single size and variety and material. Just ordered everything. It came in, and he just built it from scrap, and now he's testing it.
That's sweet.
It's a great
That's
website
sweet.
too. It's super easy to read. Like you can tell this was like made by an engineer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so he was telling me that apparently the closer that you get to the equator, the better it is for launch sites. The problem is that there's not really a lot of like ideal spots as a result. So it's like in the let me see if I
So they
can.
launched from Texas.
Yeah, exactly. So like Texas is great. Anything like like as close to the equator that we can get. Texas is ideal. Africa
Surprisingly,
also.
this is like in some of our like territories then in the Caribbean.
Those, yeah.
Maybe it's just hard to get materials over there.
I would
Definitely.
imagine so, because like if you already have the manufacturing and everything like built in Texas, and then not to mention like all the people that you have to house, right? And
You're
and
right.
and
Yeah.
on all the
Yeah, I take back that statement. Texas is the best spot for it.
yeah, it's among it. Like that's why I think they used to. They do have Cape Canaveral. It's in Florida, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's also why they have that set up there. Um, yeah, I don't know what space is going to look like in the next couple of years. Have you ever seen the map of like all the satellites that are currently orbiting the Earth? You realize how
I,
many there
I
are?
feel I feel like I have seen it, but it must have been a while ago. I know like what it covers the Earth, right? Like the map.
Oh yeah, it like it fucking blankets it. Like you can barely see anything. And I never thought that we had launched so many things up in space.
It's kind of crazy. All that debris and shit floating around up there.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm
I
gonna
do
find
like
it.
the 2 years Mars um like interval thing. I
Mhm.
kind of like that. I know that's a weird statement. I know it's a bold statement. I feel like it's like in the future when we live on Mars, it's gonna be like this weird. It's gonna be like the seasons. It's gonna be like,
Mhm.
oh, it's the like Earth connection or whatever that arrives every 2 years. Like I don't know. I think that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it also makes it so that like you have a very tight window through which you can launch. So like you really have to get your shit right. Otherwise, if you fuck it up, well, you could strand a, bunch of people just out there in space, which would be fucking terrifying. I don't know if I'd ever go. I think I would want to like see the Earth from the atmosphere, but I don't think I would take an actual trip.
Yeah, I think that people will probably go like in our lifetime, but maybe what's more realistic is that they'll just okay. Let me rephrase that. I think we'll like there'll be rockets sent there in our lifetime and like infrastructure set up, but probably maybe not people, right? I can imagine it being a fleet of robots, right? A fleet of like setup crew that are there for like 20 years, right? It could take forever, um, but that's gonna be cool. A lot of space mining and terraforming and shit. That's if I wasn't in software, that'd be something that I'd be really excited about.
Yeah, one of the concerns that I heard about like regarding setting up a colony is that like I mean, once you're there, because you're not going to exactly have anybody coming anytime soon. What's going to stop an enterprising individual from mutinying or trying to take control of the mission? I mean, the first people that we send out, like, we're really going to have to make sure that they got airtight stories, make sure that like they're ideologically not going to rebel or whatever the fuck. Like we really have to make sure of that because man, like what if just enough people get over there and then there's like I don't know a couple hundred of them or something. They're like, all right, so fuck Earth, we're gonna wait till the last rocket comes in. And we're just gonna, set up our own thing. Why not? Like, we now we own this land. Like, what happens
I'm
then?
sure I'm sure there's gonna be some drama just because it's like human like we have so much flaws in our like in our psyche, right? And it's like when you're out there with your like it's almost gonna be like a like original type tribe, right? Of the first
Hmm.
people there trying to survive, right? You turn like probably tribal. And like, it's there's gonna be some bumps in the road, but like it's one of those things that you've no option but to try it. So we're gonna unless it's like hey, AI people are actually setting everything up,
Hmm.
and first like a huge wave of people show up, like thousands, and it's just like, oh, this looks like Earth, or like whatever, we're underground.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I love that. I love that it's become kind of like a rallying cry, not just for Teapot, but like for just a lot of communities on Twitter, that people are kind of coalescing over this. Because as we were talking earlier about design, like unless you have that kind of ideal that's higher than yourself, it makes it that much more difficult to build beautiful things. And I think space is one of those few things, or just like space exploration and where we're going. It could be one of those like loosely tied narratives that keeps people together. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, if I can't put food on the table and gas costs, way more than I can afford, I'm not really going to give a shit about space.
Yeah, yeah, it is unfortunate because it really is the people that have all the money that like fund space and are building space tools. So, like I could also see a world where it's like, the Earth becomes a shithole and the people that can leave do, unfortunately. But we gotta fight to make sure that everything ends up okay. I guess there's no other choice but to be optimistic, right? Like,
Yeah, of
being
course.
pessimistic is like a waste of time because well, everything's okay now, decent enough, right?
Yeah, we don't do that around here. We don't do that on this podcast. This is
Is that the
white
name? That's
pilling
the name.
only.
Right, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. No, I'm
So
I'm su- I'm super optimistic. That's totally my. That's always been my attitude. So I hope I fit the bill for it. The podcast, the Whitepill
yeah, no,
podcast.
certainly, certainly. Um, actually, just to pivot a little, I'm guessing like you've seen movies like the Big Short, and you're familiar with Michael Burry.
Yeah, yeah. I love that movie.
Okay, so I know that it's nearly impossible to predict stuff like this happening, but I've heard that there are similar like collapses on the horizon. Which I mean, look, it only makes sense because I the whole financial crisis, from my understanding in 2008, is that it the whole underpinning was just the folly of man, is that people thought that they could fly higher than they could, wanted, were more greedy, just wanted to maximize their bottom line, and whichever instruments they had available to them, they pulled those levers and they made it work for them and their friends and whomever else. Do you know of any like predictions or just ideas around like what the next kind of like big financial issue could be that could like just reverberate across the entire world?
Yeah, dude. It's so hard. It's so hard to say. The thing about the 2008 financial crisis was that um like the fundamental issue was that, and there's probably some real financiers in the maybe listening that can correct me or think more accurately than me, but um, the fundamental problem was that the rating agencies, which are supposed to, um, they're supposed to be like keeping in check basically all the tomfoolery that happens in big finance.
Hmm.
They just weren't like rating some of these like really shitty investment instruments. They weren't rating them accurately, and I don't know if it's just negligence or like they don't get paid as well as the investment bankers or the portfolio managers, so like they just like don't give a shit. But and these were of course like the mortgage backed securities that people had a ton of insurance on, and where when they all collapsed you couldn't pay back the insurance. That was like the fundamental problem of the 2008 collapse. um it's hard to say if there's something like like there's something like, because right, that's a very complex system, and like I'm sure even if you're financially savvy, you might not have understood my explanation because it was kind of hand wavy and because the system is so complex. Like, it's
Hmm.
hard to like identify these sorts of things in this huge web of this made up game of finance. Um, with that being said, though, a lot of my friends that are actually in finance, like that are like professionally financed, I'm just like a software engineer, applied to finance. My professional finance friends, um, and connections. I've actually talked to them about this, and a lot of them are optimistic about the market. A lot of them are optimistic about economic, like the future of the economy. And like this is like people that are like even like anti-Trump, right? It just like to them it seems like people are feeling good about the future of returns, the future of business, and um, really as long as everyone's like drumming to the same beat, right? It's kind of hard to foresee like bad times in the economy, or any type of black swan. Like we all believe that like if we all believe that like AI is gonna like make us all like not have to work, and like what's the like right? There's no selling. We're just gonna keep funding it. Um, of course, at some point the music stops. Um, with this whole song and dance of like AI and like right, when is OpenAI gonna pay back that big funding round, for instance? Um, but yeah, I'm unsure if that ever even needs to happen. Like I literally don't. I don't have enough context on like the history, or on like what like those contracts even look like, for instance, to tell you whether or not like that music is ever going to stop. I suspect it will one day, right? It'd be naive to say it's never going to stop, but yeah, it's hard to like point out a specific reason why the music should stop soon.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, if everyone's just cooperating and looking after their own selfish interests, as long as there's enough guardrails to kind of keep the wheels on the bus, then there's no reason why it should stop. Outside of like something that we just literally can't predict. Um, but
Like there
in
could be
that,
flaw. There could be some flaw in the system, like in 2008, right? Like I think that was like the problem. There was a flaw. Um, but else, like it seems like right, the Federal Reserve has a grip on like inflation, right? It seems like they're pretty good at combating that now. Like the only sorts of things that like really disrupt the economy, it seems like in the modern age, are like right, huge like uncontrollable events, whether it's like COVID is one of them, like a huge disease, and the
hmm
other is like a flaw in the financial system, right? So like it's not just before in like the 1900s there'd be like ups and downs of the economy just cuz, right? Like the Great Depression or any other depressionary period, like it just happened because. Now it seems like there's always a reason why that's more clear. Maybe some people are gonna be upset with me if I'm take about the 1900s, because probably maybe don't have the facts 100% right, but it seems like lately, right, it's pretty clear why we have any of these events in like the 2000s era.
hmm No, certainly. And in regards to what you said about AI and like what the effects of that is going to have on people's jobs and whatnot, um, it's going to cause some turbulence to say the least. There is going to be quite a few people that are going to be out. I mean, like anybody that has a job that can be automated, like truck drivers are already losing their jobs because I think Tesla's
Yeah,
already rolled out like a ton of their semis. I think Pepsi was among
yeah,
the first purchasers. Um, or even just remedial tasks. Like eventually my job is going to be automated, which fuck I hope so, because this job is fucking shit and nobody should ever have to work at it for as long as they live. It is awful. Um I hope so. Yeah, I hope like call centers and like receptionists and all that. Yeah, by all means put like a fucking voice to voice LLM. Like please. It's so much easier that way.
yeah.
Annoying,
I
sure, but still.
yeah, I would. What do you like? We'll take the other side of that. Like, say, why couldn't an LLM like do everything that like you do in your job?
I mean, an LLM can't talk to a pet owner in regards to their pet having to go through euthanasia, like having to pass away and then having to console them.
Wouldn't that just
And
feel so? Yeah, wouldn't it just feel so cold? Even if it was really good at it, wouldn't that be kind of fucked up?
it would be, but I mean, look, then all you would just need is just somebody that like instead of answering the phones and like checking people in and all that. Okay, well now you just have someone that's dedicated to go over all the like euthanasia details and whatnot, which you could easily have. Like that's not a problem. Make that a person facing role because obviously like people are gonna want that instead of some automated shit.
What a
Um,
depressing job.
well, I've look. There's people out there right now, fucking, up in somewhere in a power pole that's like minus 20 degrees, having to fix shit at the
That's
last
true.
second. Like,
You're right.
there's some horrible, horrible jobs out there. So yeah, it would suck. I mean, if that's the only thing that you're doing is literally just going to talk to people with euthanasia, I'll be honest though, you do get used to it. It kind of you desensitize yourself after the first couple.
Yeah, yeah. Like I wouldn't want to be a window cleaner. That sounds like a really bad job for like skyscrapers.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, fuck that.
um,
Automate that.
Yeah. But so yeah, no, I'm really skeptical about like the AI taking all the jobs hypothesis. I think that there's always going to be there's so many touch points to like real life in every job almost. Like let me think of an example that could be completely automated. Um Maybe like yeah, I don't know. It's just like everything has a human touch point, and it's like it's hard to get it right with LLMs. And like Agents, I'm not super bullish on agents either. Which would be like the obvious solution to like, oh, like a recruiter agent that like does all like right, it finds the job and sends it to the candidates. Like that just doesn't really work in practice. Everything we do is not like everything I've done with LLM is not agent based. It's always very strict chains. It's always very strict like deterministic steps because agents just don't really work. Um, right? If an LLM is only like 95% accurate and it has to make 20 steps, right? This is like the Andrew Huberman meme of like
Hmm.
how accurate it becomes after 20 steps. It's 0.95 to the power of 20,
Yeah.
right? So it actually becomes pretty inaccurate pretty fast. It doesn't count up. uh, but yeah, that's why I'm not super like yeah, it's gonna make people more productive and like I'm gonna be able to develop an entire front end maybe with like one chat one day, but like someone's still gonna have to deploy the website or like someone's still gonna have to have the idea. Someone's still gonna have to like see oh they just released the JFK files. We should do something about that, right? So
Yeah, and on the flip side, it's going to also increase the value for businesses that like do prefer to actually hire people, because now you can go in and you can advertise one of the selling points as, oh well, we have a human touch, we have a personable touch,
totally, yeah,
we have like all in person staff, everyone's like super trained, like this is just what we do.
invest in Etsy, right? That human
Yeah.
touch. Um, yeah, no, definitely, and like you already see it with like X. Like people get paid just for like vibes, So like maybe the future is just like community building, and I'm not saying there's like some UBI thing. I don't even I can't even hypothesize on what that looks like, but um, there's a lot of you can make money just from like being yourself on the internet, really. And there might be a future in that.
Yeah, I'm not all that bullish on UBI. I think it's yet another form of like government control in a way, because now you're dependent on
Totally.
the government for a check, and you're kind of hoping that the checks don't stop. And then if you sit on it long enough and you haven't developed any skills and you're just simply consuming, then you're at their whims. You're stuck to the ball and chain because you haven't developed anything of your own. And now when, shit hits the fan, you're going to be beholden to them 100%.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and like part of what makes um like it's all relative, right? Wealth. So like if everyone gets paid the same, everyone's still like at the bottom or whatever they think they are today.
Hmm.
you know, um, and I know there's like studies that have shown that like right, like people when they get their UBI like in like 2 weeks or whatever, they don't care anymore. And it's just like they want more, but um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, man, that's why I'm working so hard to make a business out of myself and like build a brand for myself because I need to be able to have leverage for myself, in like 100 years from now when I'm still alive and I'm half robot, half man, right?
Yeah.
um, in whatever utopian or dystopian world it is.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see what happens with the with cybernetics. That we've seen the first like example of it with the Neuralink, which I mean that's pretty fucking cool. Even what little they've achieved there, just being able to click around on the screen. And it's only for a
The
short
monkey
limit of
demo,
time.
yeah, the monkey demo is so cool. You know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah,
about?
the one where like the monkey's like playing with the game there.
Yeah, yeah. It thinks it's controlling it from the controller, then they unplug the controller, whatever, or like I forget the details, but I remember I saw that and I was like, we're in the future. No, I'm not. I'm like honestly, Neuralink stuff kind of scares me, but like it's obviously cool. Like I'm pro technology, so um, like it's scary, but like you can't just not let it. You can't not innovate.
It is terrifying, but like I don't know if I'd even like go to the extent of getting like a brain chip or an implant. Okay, that's a wild fucking. Oh, that's awful.
It's really good. That's really good.
Um, yeah, I don't know if I'd go like for a neural implant. I would probably start with something soft, as like just having something that's like a diagnostic tool for my body. Like there have been people that they've implanted like sensors into their wrist by like
Mm.
some veins there, so they could tell like what their body temperature is and all that, like blood oxygen level and that kind of stuff. I feel like I'd start slow and easy with that. I don't think I'd start like replacing limbs anytime soon until they like failed or
Yeah.
something.
It's something I really like biometric data. Like I don't I used to sleep with my watch on and things like that. I used to be pretty obsessive about it, right? I run a lot. I've ran like a few marathons, um, and so I'm really into health data. The problem is that there's really been no innovations in like health data collection, maybe for the better, but like right, there hasn't been any innovation since like the Apple Watch or whatever. Like all it is, everything is just based off of heart rate. It's not really super interesting data. Like I need one level deeper without it being so invasive. And there's no way to do that. It's impossible. But like, it, just going off my resting heart rate doesn't really tell me about like doesn't really inform me about how I should change my training for this like marathon that I'm training for, right? But like getting that information and like being able to be predictive about it, being able to actually get like unique insights would be so powerful. And like we're probably gonna have that one day, but um, it's gonna be slightly invasive, which is unfortunate.
Well, I mean that's the price you're gonna have to pay, unless like we get like some next level tech that can do invasive body scans and without
And
causing any
you're
kind
like,
of
yeah,
damage or
yeah,
anything like that.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm hopeful of that. I also like, yeah, I'm also like skeptical of like those kind of promises of technology, like with the what was the blood scandal? The lady, yeah,
Thermos or whatever it was called.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm always like anything that's like seems like biological magic. I'm skeptical of. I'm also like the kind of person that eats more like paleo style foods and like doesn't like do drugs because like I just don't trust like human made stuff. You know what I mean? Um, so, right, like I'm skeptical of any type of like medical intervention by like technological intervention with biology. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you must have had a lot of fun during COVID then.
No, I'm not. Yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna come out here and I'm an anti-vaxxer. I did get the jab, but like I just generally am skeptical of like like I don't really take Advil unless I really have to. You know what I mean? Just as like a really solid example. Like I just like all natural stuff.
Yeah, no, that absolutely, and you should 100% be skeptical because at the end of the day, to these people, it's a bottom line. Like they don't care about your health. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They
Like,
don't like they
yes,
don't care.
yeah. If they came out with like a magical like chest strap or something that like could read into like your blood cells for running or like whatever, or could like scan your muscles, I'd be like, what's it actually doing? Like, right? Like, how is it? What kind of signals? What kind of like, you know, I have to go down a rabbit hole of science to actually understand like, is this really what I want to be like sending signals at my body or like whatever? I mean, that kind of stuff is going to happen in our lifetimes. So, um, but yeah, just skeptical.
Yeah, and then where does that data go? Because like already insurance companies are collecting. Like there's a chip you can plug into your car now where it tracks your rate of acceleration and all that, so it could affect your insurance. And it's like, okay, so what happens when they start plugging in the Apple Watch to the health insurance at a discount, right?
Yes, yes, dude. Why not? Yeah, yeah. Why not put a camera in your house? It's like where does it stop? Yeah, we'll know if you're eating junk food. Your insurance company's charging you more because you eat the Doritos at night.
Yeah, exactly. Or like how well in the real life example when they the first year that they released the Amazon Alexa, I remember there was a scandal because like during Christmas when the kids are opening the gifts and they set up the Alexa, there were a couple enterprising Amazon workers that decided to call the kids and pretend to be Santa.
Nice.
Like yeah, people are gonna be people, man. Like what the fuck do you expect? It's like that you ever see that South Park episode where they memed on the TSA when it was like the bathroom TSA?
Oh, no, I love South Park, but I don't know that one.
So they did an
I
episode where let me see if I can pull it up.
I like
Uh
I feel like I love South Park. I just haven't like my memory. I just don't remember those episodes. There's so many and they're all so whack.
yeah, it was called Reverse Cowgirl. The
Okay, I
long and
vaguely remember that.
yeah, long and skinny of it. One of the characters, I guess, like his mom kept telling him to put the seat down, and he didn't. So one day she fell
Yes.
into the toilet, and then apparently her like insides got sucked up into
Yes.
it because there was a
Yes.
vacuum, and they had to kill his mom. He killed
I
his
remember
mom,
that.
and then
That episode is crazy.
yeah, and then as a result, all Americans had to have a TSA checkpoint set up in their bathrooms to make sure nobody else fell in and died. And then there's
Yes,
one guy
yes.
that's watching all the cameras, and he's just sitting there jacking it.
I Yeah, yeah, that could be us. You know, someone watching the camera. I do the idea of the sensor in the car though. I know that's a little bit invasive. Genius though, like
Mm.
absolute insurance company genius. Like I kind of respect that move just from the level of like, yeah, then you can charge them like these dynamic rates and you know exactly what they're doing and like, God bless them.
Well, so here's the thing. It can cause some problems because a friend of mine has one of these chips inside of his car, and we were driving back from a cottage trip, and we had to take a boat to get onto the island, so we had to leave the car somewhere. We get back to the car, and the battery won't start. And we're like, "What the fuck? Like this thing was on a full charge before we got here. We made sure of
Yeah,
it. Eventually, we got to jump. We got to work and whatever. No big deal." Months later, he comes to find out that chip, it's like active 24/7, just sending tracking data nonstop, regardless if your car is on or off, and
classic.
it just drains the battery. He's like, yeah, I had to figure that shit out. Like that's insane.
Sucks. So, do you opt into this chip, or is it like, given you have this insurance, you have to use it?
I don't know about like specific companies. I would assume that they started with just opting in, but I think eventually it's gonna become an option. Like, just I mean, everyone's just gonna want to have the chip in to either lower their
Well,
rates, and the
yeah,
companies have their own incentives. I think it's gonna become mandatory eventually.
yeah, because I can imagine they're like, okay, if you are such a good driver, right, you put this chip in your car, and we'll charge you less for it. Um, but then what they're gonna have is all the people that are like more reckless just won't have chips, and all the
Hmm.
people that are like more safe will have the chips. Um, And right, how do they get everyone on? Maybe they can like incentivize you, saying like, "Well, first discount your rate, and then we'll see how you do." Um, and I mean, right, there could be the correct incentives in place to get everyone to use them. The problem is that maybe we'll take a loss at first just by incentivizing everybody. Um, and I don't know how much more profitable the chips really would be, right? Because presumably, people are going to be paying less because they actually are good drivers or whatever.
Yeah, true. There is also that, and then also what happens when automation software goes like mainstream to the point where Tesla is not the only player in town that has that tech. So then now you just, I mean, is there really going to be as big of an insurance market for cars later on if everyone's just essentially hands off on the road? The car is doing everything for them, or like for the most part, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I'm so lucky. I don't have a car. I don't have to deal with any of this insurance BS. Um, love the city for that reason.
Yeah, New York, are you fucking kidding me? A car, insane.
Yeah, a car costs as much as my rent here just to park it.
Jesus. That's nuts. Yeah, no, I could definitely foresee a world where like those insurance companies kind of just fade into the ether, or transition to some kind of other like insurance model, because automation is just going to make things so much better. I mean, I saw footage of there's a Waymo driving, um, and it averted this lady. Yeah, here it is. This lady's on the scooter, falls, and the car just in time manages to shift over.
Wow, that's insane. I love
And
those
that's
kind of
Waymo.
videos.
That's Waymo. That's lidar. That's not even like the cutting edge tech. They're dealing with still the base model.
Yeah, I haven't been to San Francisco in a few years, so I haven't got a chance to get in a Waymo, but
They're
I'm
fucking creepy,
jealous.
man. They're creepy.
We need those in New York City. Now, New York City is like hard mode. You can't put Waymos here.
No, bro. That Waymo's gonna roll into the wrong neighborhood. All right, like that. We've already seen what happens in SF when that happens. Like, no, that's no. We can't have
Yeah,
Waymos. But they are no, they're spooky. I went to SF with my family a couple months back, and we just happened to be there one like the day that they launched them for the first time. And
right.
yeah, you
Wow.
just see all these cars, like no driver, nothing. You just sit in the back. Like at one point, some of my family members, they just needed to get to a place in downtown, so we're like, fuck it, we're here. Why not just Waymo it? So we ordered them a Waymo, and they were like freaked out for the whole ride. They're like, all right, well, I hope it doesn't crash.
Yeah, I think it's funny that like people outside of people outside of technology, um, they don't know that this exists. When I'm like, I'll tell like people like, I'm like, you know, there's cars that drive themselves like right now. Like Like this, like that shot right there. Like
Mm.
some people have never seen that before.
Well, this one is actually this is footage of a man who got stuck at a Waymo. He was on his way to the airport, and I guess it got pulled into this roundabout. And he's like on the phone with support, trying to like ask him like, "Why am I going in circles?" The car is just stuck. It just keeps doing circles in the
It keeps doing an
roundabout.
infinite loop. That's good.
uh,
That's cool.
I hope he made his trip because that's man, that would fucking suck. Especially like if the doors are like if it locks the doors on auto, like bro, that's some. You ever see the show Silicon Valley?
No, I haven't. I'm like the only software engineer that hasn't seen it.
There's a famous scene where like this is exact incident happens, except the car gets like shipped off, so it drives into like a fucking shipping container. The guy can't
Nice.
get out.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like they got the power. They got the power.
Yeah, it's gonna be spooky.
I don't watch shows. I feel like anytime someone brings up like, oh, have you seen this movie or oh, have you seen the show? My my older friends used to make fun of me that like I don't keep up with the like, any movie that anyone recommends. It's just not active enough. Like I need to be like on my computer doing something. Or, like you know what I was when I was younger, I played a lot of video games,
Hmm.
so that's why I didn't like watch shows or anything. And now my dopamine circuits are permanently fried. I can't like be passive and watch anything.
Yeah, no, I get that. These days, I have to make sure that I have like an active list of stuff that I curate because like about maybe 2 3 years ago, I was just looking at the media that I was consuming. And I was like, yeah, this is not good for me, man. Like I can't keep watching fucking Family Guy reruns. This is stupid. Like what am I
Dude,
doing?
season 8 of Family Guy is goaded though.
Oh yeah, the earlier stuff is fucking incredible. I don't bother with like the new shit. I can't bother to keep up.
I feel like maybe it was like 7, 8, 9, or like 8, 9, 10. I like watched those 3 seasons like over and over and over again when I was in college. I love that. I love those seasons. Um, yeah, I like what's the genre of movie called where it's like following someone's life story?
Oh,
Like
biopics, yeah.
yeah, exactly biopic. I love those kind of movies. Those movies, it's like it just makes you want to like get on my computer and go. You know what I mean? Like that fires me up. I love that kind of stuff. Maybe they're corny. I don't know. I'm just not a movie guy enough to know.
Yeah, yeah. There's always like some kind of a message or something like a story of hope. I mean, I like that they make some good ones. Like, one of the more famous ones I remember is that one with Will Smith. Something something happiness. I forget. Oh, The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh yeah, that's a great. I haven't seen that one in so long. I should watch that. That's a great idea. Um, but yeah, even like Oppenheimer, like I just remember like he was so like fucked up in the head, and like I just love the character of someone that's like an evil genius. Like the Steve Jobs book, like I don't usually read super long books like biographies like that, but I just love the archetype of the guy that's like so screwed up in the head, but also like such a visionary and like solves a really hard like and like unintuitive problem. I think that's such a cool like setup.
Yeah, Oppenheimer was amazing. It was also like coming at a time when there was a lot of talk regarding like nuclear war potentially like happening in Ukraine. So I'm glad that the movie came out and made the impact that it did. But that yeah, that was nuts. I went to go see it alone in theaters, and I did not know what to do with myself after that. I was like, my fucking brain is blown. Like I can't. I've never even met somebody of that caliber. I don't even know what it would be like to sit across from them in a room of like someone of that stature. Like that is insane.
Yeah, yeah, that one was good. I really like similarly the Alan Turing movie. Um, and he was sort of like psychotic too, or I don't know if he was psychic. I think he was just like, what happened to him? I don't know if he went crazy or like they maybe did they arrest him for being gay or something. Like I feel like there's some such stuff happened.
Yeah,
Um,
so that was the one with Cumberbatch, Benedict Cumberbatch. I think it was called something something The Imitation Game. Yeah, this is about the codes that they cracked during the Second World War. Yeah, what happened with him was because he was homosexual and found to be homosexual, they gave him a choice after the war that he could either turn in all of his research and all of his machines and everything that he had built, uh, and be castrated. Or sorry, no, it was either turn in everything or be castrated. And he decided to be castrated, but he was still able to work on his stuff. But the end years of his life, like he was like just completely emaciated, had like no passion for what he was doing, just very depressed. Which I'm yeah, they fucking castrated the guy in his like 50s or 40s or however old he was.
Oh, they did do it. Wow, that's
Yeah,
gross.
yeah, yeah. The UK government had to come out. I think about maybe a decade ago or something, and they issued a formal apology for him, which like yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's messed up. That movie was great though. Steve Jobs movie was not good.
Which one? There was two of them, right? There was
I
one with
know. I don't remember which
Fassbender.
one I watched.
There was
I think it was
Fassbender, and
just like
then the what? Kutcher? Kutcher did the other one.
yeah, that was crazy. I can't believe Kutcher did it. It was like when Steve Carell was in The Big Short. Like, right? Like, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these guys. See, Steve Carell did a great job in that movie. I said I wasn't a movie guy, but maybe now I sound like I'm a movie guy because I'm name dropping like this. But this is like my genre. These are like my genres, right? So, um,
It's
but
gonna be a
yeah,
lot easier to make these, especially when like AI generating or generative AI is gonna get to the point where you can just make movies on the fly. Like I'm really looking forward to that. I can't wait till copyright laws and all that shit gets thrown out the window because people just can't control it anymore.
it's really scary because like it's so obvious how like TikTok is bad, right? It's just like, um, they're doing like back propagation on their algorithm straight to your like view time, right? They're just trying to like maximize the engagement. They're like looking at your eyeballs right through the camera secretly, right? Like they're doing like such shit. But what happens when it's like you just like instead of having like creators do the like gradient descent, right, to the maximum whatever viewer time thing, it's just an algorithm generating like exactly what you want to see. Um, that's like really scary. And that's like what TikTok has the power to do, or like Netflix has the power to do. But what happens when you open Netflix and it's like your perfect dopamine maximizing show? Um, I don't know. That's like not like a good world. It's just like amusing ourselves to death, right? I think that's like something that someone else has said before.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way because I mean at that point you don't really need. I mean you could have like you said like just the, like creators that are on the platform, but also if the algo itself is just able to curate to yourself. I mean that the amount of data that the TikTok app grabs, I don't understand why this whole issue of banning it did not come up when it was initially launched because Jesus fucking Christ, it tracks everything, keystrokes, your passwords,
Well,
the
dude, it's a free speech thing. A lot of people that I know, especially like left-leaning people, say that it's the only platform that shows like a very specific kind of content, that they think is important for the world. And like, I'm pro free speech, so like, I guess that's cool. But at the same time, I think the app is sketchy. I more have a moral problem with that kind of app. I think that's my biggest issue with it. But um, it's tough, right there. Like you could see the other side of the argument, right?
no certainly, and like I definitely get the people that defend it, kind of in the same way how like people defend RT, Russia Today, the news station,
Mm.
how it should 100% be allowed to play in the West and be available on Western TV because, like, okay, sure, we know that it's in part funded by Russia, but at the same time, they cover a lot of blind sides that U.S. media just doesn't cover. You know, and just because they cover things in an unfavorable light to the U.S. doesn't mean that their coverage is somehow false or misleading. You got to take it like story
Yeah.
by story. You can't just completely blanket wipe the whole thing. And yeah, no, I get that. I understand how that argument could be made for TikTok, but for me, it's just the amount of data that it scrapes from all the people. That's the main concerning thing for me because it can get device info from not just from you, but if someone is connected to the same network as you and you use TikTok, then they essentially hop from, from device to device, which like
So I thought I was out. I've never used TikTok. I thought I was out, but no, I have people on my network using TikTok.
oh
It's
yeah.
over.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's pervasive. And the fact that people are using it on like military bases and shit, it's like, bro, what the, what the fuck? Like
Jesus, dude, it's so over for like the internet and for like our like personal information. Like, um, I'm not even worried about that anymore. Like, it's just like a game you can't win by worrying about it.
mhm.
I don't know. Maybe I just don't know enough. Maybe I'm too naive. And I don't know enough about the internet, and I grew up in like the internet world. But um, I'm like I am so like disgusted with the idea of amusing ourselves to death though. Um, that's like why I really hate the app.
It's too easy. It's just far too easy. The algo is there. All your friends are sharing it. You know, there's all this like social pressure to get on these platforms, and the algos are they're just too good. They just show you the funniest shit. Like I've never laughed as hard as I have, you know, watching some of these reels, and that like just absolutely like just crying with tears. Like I just there's nothing funnier than seeing some of those reels, and it's a problem. It's a problem, man. I had to really like force myself to kick the habit of watching this shit because it's extremely addictive.
Yeah, even I mean like all the algorithms are bad. Like even X, I have to like remind myself to be like intentional when I'm on the timeline. That's like the what's the word for it? That's like the cue I give myself. It's like right, let's like be intentional about like posting and engaging, not just scrolling.
Mm-mm.
Um, but at least with X, it's like I find out stuff before other people. Like right, I knew TikTok was banned before people that had TikTok, right? um, so I think that's the alpha there. But yeah, the even like reels is good too. I get stuck in YouTube Shorts a lot. That's I don't really use any of these like types of apps, but like I go on YouTube a lot, and you know how they just kind of throw shorts in your face.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's really difficult. Like the only thing that I could recommend for me personally, what I did was I just turned off my all my watch history. So when I put in YouTube, this is what I get. And if I go to my
Nice.
subscriptions, I'll see like all the accounts that I'm subscribed to. But that's it. I get like, and even the shorts, they're all based on like the account. So I had to like completely scrub that shit. Like all my watch data, like
Yeah,
everything, all my history, I had to do that because I you can't. Otherwise, you can't. You're just getting attacked from all sides by just slop.
I do want the algorithm, like the YouTube algorithm, to know me really well though. Like that's something that I wanted to recommend me good content. Um, so I do like it for that reason. But like every once in a while, it's just like I'm just trying to take a poo, man. Like don't like put
Yeah.
shorts up. Right? I just want to watch the deep seek Fallout video right there. I don't want to. I don't need to be on shorts.
I'd
Right.
recommend that you check out this platform. It's called Token TV. The developer of which I'm trying to get on the show, but basically it's a platform where people can submit YouTube video links to be nominated. So you have a certain amount of tokens that you get per day, and you can use it on nominations to like signal boost these different videos if you like them or not. And the whole point is just to get like just alpha. You're looking for like videos that might not be going viral, but have like really insightful information, or the creator is very unique, and it's spread, you know, amongst like all these different things. So like some of them are just animations, some of them are news stories,
Just
some of them are.
that first one looks so interesting. The Disney problem, like that's the kind of content I like. It's like kind of niche. It's like actually insightful, and it looks like it's produced well just from the clip of it.
Yeah, no, it's a great platform because like the engagement and everything, like it, how people interact with the platform actually changes who gets voted up and like which ones are the top videos of the day. Every day, if you sign up for their email list, it sends you like a top video of that day, whatever one got the most votes. So it's all about the taste of the people that are on the platform, and not some algorithm that has corporate sponsorships or whatever have you, you know, to consider.
Nice. Yeah, I'm on it right now. This looks awesome.
Yeah, it's great. The guy that made it, his whole point was like, I want to make a YouTube that is without slop. That's my whole point. So he just his
It's like
whole focus is trying to create a platform to engage for alpha.
I'm about to say something that sounds like buzzwordy or whatever, but it's almost like a consensus style recommendation algorithm.
Yeah, yeah, basically. So that instead of just like raw, like, well, YouTube doesn't just take raw views into account, but instead of all that, puts the power into the people's hands, and they can choose exactly what goes viral and what doesn't.
It's really cool. I'm gonna I hope this doesn't get lost in my history. Like I wanna use this.
That's the other thing. There's so much alpha floating these days that it's so hard to keep track of half the time.
I was so busy yesterday, and someone sent me a super cool article about like sleep that I was really excited to. I remember thinking when I got that article, I was like, "Shit, I'm never gonna read this," but like I want to so badly. There's just too much other stuff to do.
Yeah, LLMs can't come fast enough. Agents can't come fast enough until they're actually just
Y-
summarizing this shit while we're sleeping.
Yeah, but even those like newsletters where it's like, what happened today, and it's like all summaries, I still can't even like. It's just like it's so much noise. Um, like you get fatigued with all of those things so fast.
Oh, one thing, another one I'd actually recommend. I think it's called Boundless Supply. Let me just double check. This guy Jason Baseman, he has this platform that he works on,
Yeah,
where their whole goal is
seen
to,
on TikTok. Yeah,
yeah, he has this platform, Boundless Discovery. That's what it is. So their whole thing is they're building this platform right now, and these stories and articles that you see are kind of like what the platform puts out. Um, but the end goal is to create essentially a map like this, where based on whatever story that you're reading, it's going to have all these different nodes in the network. So, for example, if you're reading about Russia talking about their expansion into the Arctic, there's all these different nodes in the network that have
holy shit.
aspects of the story, which is very different than when you're reading a news article, because then you're really relying on the author and the editor and whoever else is working on it to lead you through the story point by point by point. But this puts the power into the reader's hands, so you can actually eventually they want to make it so that you can click on the node, it'll give you the source, then you'll see what other nodes it's connected to, and then you can go as deep as you want with it.
This is it. This is sick. I feel like it's such a hard UX problem. A UX problem that I wouldn't want to solve myself personally. But this is sick.
Yeah, when I spoke to Jason about it on the show, he said that exactly. It's just two of them working on it too. So like they're trying really hard to pump this out, but they do see a lot of value in something like this moving forward, because I think something like this would once again like revolutionize how news is told. Because I mean, seeing a story from this kind of perspective versus just like reading text, you can't compare it.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I do resonate with the idea of like the journalist will tell you like their own graph of it, but like, and then you can imagine like, let's say you read like three different stories about a similar topic, you might get the same graph over and over again, and you might be missing some space in the graph.
Yeah, another platform I'd recommend also is Ground.news. They're an AI based news aggregator, but the reason that they have value, in my opinion, is because they have all the articles here from all the different publications on the stories. So you can go and see it for yourself. But there is an AI generated summary that happens here. And they also rate the sources of the story based on how left or right leaning they are, so that at least it gives you a better understanding of where the biases are. So, like, where the blind spots are, what facts are they covering, what are they not covering. And you can see for yourself, like I said, you don't have to rely on the summary. You can actually go and read the articles.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't been on like a formal news website in so long just because like I just pray that everything that I want to see gets sent to me like on X through the algorithm.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess all these news sites have their own algorithm too, right? But yeah, I don't know. My information diet is pretty low. Like before I was on X, and there was a long period of my life where I was just on no social media, and like I didn't really get any information, and I was probably happier then when I didn't have any news or anything. But honestly, no, like, I'm happy now. I'm happy now. But like there was a period of time where I literally had no idea what was happening, and it was awesome. It was like beautiful.
Ignorance
It was
is bliss,
bliss.
man. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. There's a period of my life like before I was like when first graduated college, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing. Like I was working a software engineering job, but I wasn't really connected with what was happening. I was kind of just like grinding and like reading. I was reading a lot. That's what I was doing, and I wasn't like watching anything. I was just reading a lot, and like I would like exercise, and it was such a peaceful life, simple life, very simple life.
Yeah, I wish I could go back to that. I really do, because I've been on the other end of it, on the other end of that spectrum, where you're just so tuned in that it starts eating away from inside you, and that is no good, man. That is major black pilling territory right there. Very easy to get sucked into.
What is I'm like this is probably a taboo me say or like what's the meme? It's like at this point I'm too afraid to ask. Like what
Yeah.
is black pill just being super pessimistic?
Yeah, that's part of it. So It's like the concept of the matrix of the red pill and the blue pill, except it's
So
black and
okay,
white.
yeah, red pill is like the hard truth, right?
Yeah, red pill is you go and see how far the rabbit hole goes. You actually see the world for what it is.
Mm.
Yeah, and then black pilling is having now seen the world for what it is. Your outlook on it is cynical. Like, why would I bother?
Mm.
The world is so shit. There's so
Mm.
much chaos. There's so much out of my control. It's also overwhelming. A lot of people that heavily lean ideologically, either like depending on doesn't matter what spectrum, but if you lean ideologically very hard, like on either left or right, that's a trap that you can get caught into because you just get into this feedback loop of like nothing is changing, but everybody tells me that like this
Oh.
thing is a catastrophe and it just keeps feeding into itself. It's like
Oh.
um
So wait, are you saying that people on the ends of the political spectrum are more cynical?
oh, I'd say so. Or at least they're
Yeah.
more extreme in how they reflect that. I don't think that like because even if you're like the most even if you're lean the most far right, like I don't think that you look to people like Trump with reverence or like love or any kind of appreciation. There's plenty of people that are like on the far right that really don't like Trump and what he's doing because he's not going far enough.
Why is that billionaire putting rockets into space?
Yeah, or like just certain things like they'll just latch onto one thing or another. But I think yeah, if you exist on either the end of the extremes, you are mentally unwell and you need to get checked. Like
Well,
absolutely.
I don't blame him. I have some close friends that are like relatively extreme, and like it's not really like their fault. Um, because it's like it's your information diet, and it's a product of your environment, and so and like I was really far left at one point, um and like I just changed my information diet, and I'm very moderate now, I would say. um and yeah, it's really all about your surroundings.
Yeah, no, I have sympathy for those people, and I feel bad for them because I know exactly what it's like to get caught up in playing those ideological games, um, and so like that's essentially like the division of the black pill is that just everything is cynical, and there's no point to anything, and we're all gonna die. And then the white pill is the alternative, so it's that yes, there is struggle in the world, yes, there is pain, but there's a purpose to pushing through that, and there is something that can be found on the other side of it. And people that have come before us did much more with far less accessible to them in far more difficult times. And so, if they could do that, and we stand on their shoulders, then I mean, what we could do is that there's no limit to it. So, like
Oh yeah.
that's essentially that idea, and I've come around to that way of thinking. Thankfully, like earlier than I would have liked to in in my life. Um, and it's quite a shift because like I studied sociology in university, and my goal with it, I didn't have an ideological leaning when I went into it. I just wanted to better understand society and the structures and the all the different groups that we operate in and all the different systems. But that was a very black pilling experience because when you start to peer behind the curtain, when you try to actually see all these different movements of societal upheaval like go throughout time and what actually results in them, it can turn somebody very very cynical very quickly.
Yeah, I feel like psychology. I took psychology and sociology in high school, actually. Um, and some psychology specifically was dark, man.
Yeah.
Like like Freudian stuff is just kind of gross. Like I don't like thinking about it.
Well, not just that, but there I think it was the Milgram experiment where they had I think it was the shock therapy experiment where essentially oh yeah, this is the one. So there would be a subject in the room that would be connected to this wire, and you would be told as the person that's administering the shock that they would feel the shock depending on how high you go. So there's like a board with like 0 to 10, and you would go from 0 to 10, and with each increasing one, the person would pretend to get more and more hurt. And the experimenter, the person that's leading the experiment, would be in the room telling you like, okay, you can go up a level, you can go up a level, and more than enough people, well, a concerning amount of people that went through this experiment ended up taking it to like the highest levels to the point where like in their mind they know that they are potentially killing this person, but because they have the experimenter like giving them the, I don't know, not the social proof, but just like the a okay that yeah, no, by all means keep going. Like yeah, this is an experiment. We're in control, and the amount of people that went through with it is astounding.
I'm not gonna lie. If I was in that experiment and I didn't know about the experiment, I feel like I would be the person that would listen to the experimenter.
And that's the thing. Most of us would.
Like, I'm not even gonna sit here and be like, I'm better than that. Like, I feel like I would totally be like, well, I'm in an experiment and I agreed to this and they told me to do it, so I'm doing it, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of really weird stuff about the way that the human mind works that you can fuck with, and very little of it is actually good.
yeah, I'm like, these guys are scientists. They know what they're talking about. Um, but yeah, no, there's so much weird stuff like that. The coolest thing that happened in psychology class was that that was my first encounter with like meditation.
Hmm.
It was in high school, which is like a really strange time to like in a classroom to be taught this. But I remember thinking that like I don't know, I thought that was such a weird experience, and like um um yeah, I think it's crazy that like some people don't encounter that experience like, at all in their lives, or at least later. But I encountered it at such a young age. I was like 17, you know,
Did you guys do like
at
a
least in like
guided meditation or?
yeah, we did a guided meditation in psychology class, and I remember thinking like, "This is so cool," and like, I've never been like huge into it for throughout the rest of my life, but like that just left a really weird impact on me. I was like, "Wow, this is like really." It was just a very interesting psychology lesson that I always remember.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what the brain is capable of. Because I had a similar experience in high school where I was part of the theater department's like stage crew, so we helped set up the shows for the
Yeah,
school. And I remember they needed an extra hand. They're like in the middle of the day because there was somebody that was gonna come and do like a guided meditation for some class. And I was like, "Fuck it, why not? Like, I'm sitting up here in the booth. Why don't I just go with it? Like, the lights are all set up. I don't have to change anything."
yeah,
And as I was following these instructions, like what the moment that I came out of the meditation and it ended, I I don't recall ever a point in my life when I was so relaxed. Like
nice.
I've smoked some good weed, but like that has never ever come close to like what that actually felt like. And I remember I had to go to chemistry class after that, and there was like this big group project, and everyone was hurrying to finish, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't fucking care, man. I don't care."
You're like, we're like, why does life even matter anyway? Why does
Yeah,
chemistry even?
who gives a shit? I don't fucking care. Like I'll fail.
You,
This is awesome.
you walk into chemistry wearing like robes and like long hair, a long beard.
Yeah, no, it was transformative, man. I don't think I'd ever be able. Well, I mean, I'm sure with enough practice you could enter that kind of state on your own. But yeah, it's powerful. It is very powerful. And I've never been hypnotized, but I'm sure that there is a good subset of the population that can be.
Yeah, yeah. I've never like looked into. I don't know shit about hypnosis or like lucid dreams. I feel like that's a trend. Like people try to get themselves lucid dream. I did dream last night that I finally was monetizable on Twitter, but that wasn't a lucid dream.
Wow.
Finally, 5 million views in 3 months. No,
What a
that was
dream.
a real dream. I saw it in my dream on my phone screen.
Oh, that's jokes. No, with lucid dreaming, you can actually it's a state that you can actually control and get into. Like one of the things that I've heard that can help you get into that state is if you keep like a dream journal. So every time you wake up, first thing you do is you
Mm,
grab for that pen and paper and you go to write down to recollect because they're very loose memories and it's very difficult to like remember what you did in a dream moments after waking up. So the better that you get at it, like it helps your body recognize like, oh, okay, that was a dream, so that when you're actually in the state,
yeah.
I don't know what it is about like the mechanics of it, but apparently that helps.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm as soon in the morning when I wake up, I'm useless. Or else I would say I could do some dream journaling. Um, I am very much a morning person. Like I get up very like it's basically my bedtime. But like and I'm on the East Coast. But yeah, in the morning, like I I always had the aspiration to journal in the morning when I wake up, like first thing when I wake up. But even that was like I just can't do anything. I'm useless. I have to sit on the couch and just like get some air in my lungs and like yeah.
I know what you mean.
Is
Do you do the Huberman thing where like first thing you got to do is the sunlight in your eyes and all that?
no, I'm like, I used to run like almost every day in the morning, but lately it's just too cold and dark in New York City. Um, but yeah, I'm just so lazy in the morning.
I know that. I'm just up north of you in Toronto, so I the same darkness is
Jesus, man.
same
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. I try to at least plop on my computer and get productive because that gets me excited to like start to get out of bed and stuff because like fun on my computer. But
Do you find a lot of people in the finance space? Because like that's a stereotype that I get is like everyone's that. You ever see that guy the shaved cut and the spiky hair? I don't know what position he works in finance, but he's always just got this like go getter attitude. I forget his name. Do you know what I'm
is
talking
this a
about?
meme or is this like a real guy?
No, this is a real guy. He did I'm gonna pull him up. He was on the Channel 5 did a Channel 5 interview. Let's see if I can find him. He's this like tall looking motherfucker. He's like 6.5 feet tall, I swear. Total finance bro. Where's the vest and everything? Here he is.
Oh, oh,
Davis
oh,
Clark.
oh.
This guy right here.
Wait, can you get a different shot of him? Oh, I don't recognize this guy.
You've never seen his stuff? Oh, he's hilarious. Every single day he's at it.
Do you know the guy that's like, what do investment bankers Oh, wait, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I know this guy. I know this guy.
Yeah, legend. Legend. This
This,
guy gets up
this,
every morning. It's a bad day to be a day.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know this guy. He's kind of big on TikTok, right?
hmm
Yeah, I've seen him like peripherally, right? Through like I don't know whispers, but yeah, yeah, yeah. I know him.
Yeah, because that's the vision that I get when I think of like a finance bro, like somebody that's like up early in the morning. They go to the gym, whatever, and they clock out, go home, repeat.
They go to their $300 a month Equinox membership gym,
Mm.
and then they get like a I don't know chai latte on the way to work. No, they probably great drink black coffee or something. Pop his in. That's the stereotype.
Yeah, you guys got stacks of zins at your office.
Um, no, because I'm in like the tech department. We don't have cool stuff like that. We don't have cool toys. We just have like computers and um we might move into like the brokerage building, but like we're in the tech department. There's no zinnies. only uh only a bunch amount of protein bars on my desk.
Right on, right on. What's it like living in New York these days? Because all the shit that I've been hearing in the last couple of years has been kind of concerning. You guys are in the sort of states right now.
I I don't think that like yeah, it's a little bit unsettling like seeing videos of people being pushed on the subway tracks. Like I don't really feel unsafe often. I used to live in Philadelphia for a few years, and like the homeless people there were scary too. I don't know if it's like particularly a New York City problem. Um, and like I take the subway every day to work, so it's not like it's not like every you know what it is. Everyone in New York takes the subway, so it's just like everyone's down there, and we're all okay with the fact that it's kind of like grimy down there, and if it's just all of us there together, like we're all safe, in like a group of normal
hmm
people. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I love it here. I'm so happy I moved here. Um, I would probably stay in the city forever if it wasn't for my girlfriend that wanted to leave and go to the suburbs one day. City life is so cool. Even though I'm not like a big like I don't go to clubs. Like I don't really like go out and socialize even that much. But like I just love the fact that it's all right here if I ever want it.
Yeah, there's something enchanting of just walking by and seeing buildings that are like, geez, like unfathomably high. All these lights, and especially when they're
It
like well done with a certain style, you just get hypnotized by it.
it it fades very fast, the novelty of it, but um it is just like I just couldn't imagine being somewhere like slower and quieter just because it's like, this is where I need to be. Like, right, anyone who I want to get a coffee with, who's in the area is going to meet me here. You know what I mean? They're not going to meet me in like the outskirts, or like maybe they'll meet me in Brooklyn. They're not going to meet me in like Jersey City or
Mm-hmm.
something. They're going to meet me here. So that's why I like being here.
No, I know what you mean. I've spent most of my life in Toronto, and we might not be as dense as you guys, but still
No, no,
got
Toronto's,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But no, I love it. It's like especially walking. I don't do it so much anymore, but when I used to walk out at night, just seeing all the skyline or just any part of the city with all that, there's just something to it. Or like if you're on the island and you're coming back and you're taking the ferry, seeing that whole place just light up. I don't know. There's just something about it. Like I used to live on the 23rd floor, and I remember going to sleep like watching just the outside, and I was just so happy. I was like, "This is fucking awesome, man! I get to have this amazing view. Incredible. How many people can say that?"
Yeah, I do love the views. That's like something that I don't know. It's just inspiring. It makes me like happy. It's like it really is like it's just like a nice optimistic thing in your life, like a good vibe. It's a good vibe. It's what it is. It's like, oh, right, overlooking the city. It's like this is good energy, high energy.
Yeah, something about it. But no, Toronto's been facing some of the similar issues like in the last couple of years. We've had our incidents on our own, like in the subway. At one point, they had to like um, get the police involved and have them start patrolling some of the subway. Which I know for you guys, like that's been a common occurrence for a while now. But for us in Canada, like especially since citizens don't have guns, like we're all just like, holy fuck, this is a problem.
Yeah, yeah. It stinks, but like it just happens when there's like 10 million people living on fucking on top of each other, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
it's
crazy.
like,
Just nonstop noise, right? Like the city never sleeps.
yeah, I'm on the 27th floor, and it's loud up here. Like I can hear the buses, and like, well, actually, we live near a bunch of it's like the hospital. There's a lot of hospitals in the area. It's like on the east side, and so, a lot of like sirens, like ambulances and stuff, which is like unfortunate, but I've learned to tone it out.
Yeah, you get like a second sense or the sixth sense to it, where you just like that. It just completely leaves your mind. It's not even something you have to worry about.
Yeah, I don't even hear it anymore. I got like a noise machine in my room when I sleep, and I'm all good.
Beautiful. Um, so what made you want to move to New York? Is it just because everything was there, all the opportunity in the sector you wanted to work at?
I was either gonna move to like San Francisco or New York. Like it was clear that I had to move to like a technology like a hub for capital. Um, and it just made most sense for like my lifestyle. I moved to New York, like my like family. Like I grew up on the East Coast. Um, and even I'm a relatively adventurous guy, but like yeah, it just made the most sense. And it turns out to be a good decision because um, a lot of people I know are moving here right now still. So I have like my network here now, and um, I did find a job that was freaking awesome here. So I was obviously psyched to make that move. Um, and yeah, it's awesome. I want to stay in the city forever, like I said already.
So in the future, when you're actually when you're in a position to leverage all the stuff that you've learned and actually build something of your own, what do you think that would look like for you?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, whether it's like I don't know, a product, a business, a company. Like, do you think that
It
you'd
even
always still like work for like to have a boss and have that financial security, or do you think you'd
No,
ever
yeah,
branch out?
yeah. I'll own my own business one day. It's just like I need to be to a place where I'm comfortable enough that um like let's say I quit tomorrow. Um, there was not like a clear way for me to monetize like whatever skills I have without getting another job. And so I need a clear path to do that. That would at least let me not starve. Um, and so it'll probably look something like consulting or freelancing or maybe like indie hacking if I have something that's like monetizable. Um, but until then, it's just like trying things out and seeing what works. Um, Something that I'm really excited about now that like I can't say that like I'm not a Lobi anymore because I'm still a Lobi at heart. You know what I mean? On X.
What do you got? How
Um,
many views you got?
but like now that I have some sort of a following, and like more importantly than the number of followers, I feel like I get good engagement. Like I have a lot of people that like reply to my posts. Like that's really new to me. I want to try to experiment more, right? Like I just want to take a lot of shots on that and see like what sticks. And so maybe it will be trying to pitch myself as a freelancer or a consultant, or maybe it's like launching these apps. Um, I'm not sure, or maybe it's like I did my first Yap sesh last night
Oh yeah,
on
you went on
on a
space.
yeah, on a space. So like I don't know what the vibe is, but I'm just trying stuff out. I'm really excited to just try things.
Well, one place I'd recommend you check out. I wonder if they have this space in New York.
By the way, doing a space was so hard and like so awkward.
Oh yeah, was it like the first time you'd ever done something like that?
I got Chris to come and join with me, so at least I had like a co-host. But like it was still like I was like, what do I talk about? No, it was good. It was fun.
I would, if I was you, I'd recommend checking out Socratica. It's this initiative that was launched initially in Waterloo by a couple of students, and they have these get-togethers where builders from all backgrounds, designers, actual like coders, engineers, what have you, everyone just comes together and builds little passion projects. So maybe it's like you want to build a robot, maybe you want to shoot a commercial, maybe you want to, what have you, and it's all like a collaborative effort. And I think once a year, they do this conference in Waterloo where, yeah, it's called a symposium, where they present all these different demos and whatnot. But throughout the year, they have these events all across the world now where people can go and just join these co-working spaces and just build together collaboratively. So if you're looking for like-minded people, I would definitely start there.
Yeah, that's sweet. I definitely am looking for like it's hard because like on the weekends I've no one to build with, you know? Like
Hmm.
during the work week it's like I am with my colleagues a lot and like we really like talking about like what's going on in the field and like they even keep me up to date. They're good, but you know, it'd be cool to have like a sanctuary or somewhere to go at nights or on the weekends as well. Um with that being said, it's also nice having like alone time because like you really have to put your head down and like get stuff done. But a healthy mix of both is probably something that yeah, I'm learning to strike.
No, for sure. I mean, I could imagine that quite a bit of the stuff that you guys do, it takes a lot of processing power just mentally on a day-to-day basis. So if you're not careful, it could wear you out.
Dude, I mean, I have a lot of energy though. Like it all comes from aligning your incentives, you know. I don't know. I'm just really excited about building an excited future for myself, and so like then the energy just comes naturally from it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. A lot of the people that I talk to share that same kind of approach, not just like to the job that they have. The job could be here or there; it doesn't really matter to them. But the ambition towards like moving to whatever the next step is, I hear it in just about everybody that I talk to. So that's great. I mean, literally, like even the guy that spoke to yesterday said the exact same thing.
Yeah, dude, it's just like everything's a flywheel. You know, every conversation is like momentum or like learning how to communicate your ideas or like making another connection. Um, you know, even everything I do at work is like helping me um, either build my network or build my technical skills or like what have you. And like everything outside of work, you know, folds right back into the other side. So um, if you could convince yourself that that thing is really like working and accelerating, then like it just becomes easy.
Exactly. And just to kind of pivot a little bit, do you think that your job is safe from AI?
Yeah, I mean, only because like we're the ones is messed up as this. I mean, like I don't want to say we're the ones automating people's jobs because that's not like true. We're just trying to make workflows more efficient, and like anyone who's disrupted by them is just going to be using our tools to be like more effective, really. Um, but like we're the ones doing the automation, so uh, like I said earlier about how like I'm skeptical of agents. It's like this for the same reasons I'm very skeptical of like the idea of like automating the automating, right? Like there's this idea that's like, oh, well, what happens once AI can do AI research? Like I'm just really skeptical of those kind of workflows. And what I do looks more like AI research than it does um, anything else. Like right, we're not doing traditional research, but like right, we're taking like the new things and trying to figure out where to apply them to our business.
I see. Okay. Well, yeah, no, that's gonna take an ideas guy. You're not gonna have a word cell shape rotator that's gonna
It
be
isn't.
able
Yeah,
to
it
do
is an
that.
idea style. Yeah, yeah.
That's funny. I'm hearing that sentiment a lot. That like, yeah, that's the age that we're moving into. Is the person that's able to curate and to have a sense of taste or understanding of the greater architecture and systems and all that. Like that's the person's gonna really
Yeah, yeah.
accelerate
It's
with the
all
tools.
it's all about the agency, you know. And like I know that's like an overloaded term in Teapot, but like these models have no agency. That's like the whole thing, right? They only are given tasks and they act on those. So like if you have agency, you can use it to your advantage because they have no agency.
Well, an AI doesn't have rent to pay. You know, an AI doesn't have alimony. An AI
That's
doesn't
true.
have any financial incentives like human beings do.
Damn, now being an AI sounds kind of nice when you put it that way.
I mean, yeah, you're just kind of you're just a tool waiting to be spun up, and you don't feel anything.
No feelings, no rent, you know. Well, you kind of have feelings. You have like a whole range of emotions. Potentially, you could be simulated into. Um, but yeah, no agency. You can't do anything on your own without someone else that has more agency than you. That's why I'm bullish on humans.
Yeah, no, that actually that reminds me of a show. Hate to be that guy to recommend yet another show, but this it's kind of low key. It didn't really get the spotlight that it deserved. It's called Pantheon. It was released on HBO, I believe, initially. It's only 2 seasons, limited series, but the whole idea behind it is what if we lived in a world where you could upload your intelligence? So instead of AI, it's UI, and now it's the human brain, but now you have the capabilities of a computer. And there's like a really interesting story that weaves through it. Amazing show. It really threw me for a loop, kind of like Mr. Robot did in a lot of ways, but yeah, definitely a great show. And do you think that is something that's possible, like on the horizon, that eventually we're going to be able to have people uploading?
I don't know, man. That's like what specifically?
Well, you just take a scan of your brain, and now you're digital.
I
If I
just
could
feel
put it in
like
the simplest way possible.
I feel like yeah, I think we know so little about the brain, so it's hard to even estimate, right? Like we um and also like I'm trying to think about it from like an ML perspective. Like you could probably do like you could probably build a pretty accurate model of like how someone's brain behaves, just like doing like the LM approach. Like if you captured all of their synapses and like right all the inputs mapping them to all the outputs. Um, I don't know what would be harder, capturing all that data or mapping it. I think capturing all that data was just like impossible.
Well, I don't know if you heard about this, but scientists were able to do this for a fruit fly.
Yeah, that
Have
picture's
you
sick. I love
have,
that.
have you seen the scan, like how deep it goes?
I remember like that picture. It's like that picture's satisfying. Like I could take a bite out of it.
Let me see if I can find it, because when you actually look at the when you actually can see it for yourself, it is, I mean, it's almost too like I don't know. Words fail me. I can't believe that there's this much complexity in a fucking fruit fly.
I think that, but this is like a snapshot of it, right? Because like to upload a brain to like simulate someone else's like behavior or like just simulate who they are, it's like you need to have like a time dimension, which adds like, right? It makes this whole thing like it's already so complex in this dimension. It just multiplies it by a whole other dimension.
Yeah, because the thing is, what they did was they used like some kind of a laser technology to like take slices of it essentially. So they cut it, and the fly obviously had to be dead for that. Um,
Poor guy.
eh, Took one for the team.
For science, yeah.
I guess this isn't the site, but yeah, there's one site that you could use to like really look through it. And when I saw the detail, I mean, like, what the fuck, man?
Doesn't that look kind of tasty?
It does. It
That's
looks
some good
delicious.
cotton candy right there.
Reminds me of those old Apple, like the iPod and like shuffle commercials where they had the colors.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's nuts. I never knew it was that intricate. I never knew that they had so many neurons, that there were so many connections and pathways. I, wouldn't think twice about looking at a fly like that. Yeah, 7,000 layers. They sliced it in 7,000 layers and took 21 million electron microscope images.
That's like the most best chef in the world, slicing up their whatever it is that thin.
That's funny. I used to work as a cook. Funny enough, I've never really cut my hands, but I've seen some guys lose fingers.
Holy shit!
Oh yeah,
That's,
dude, those things are fucking sharp. They will not hesitate. If you're cutting through steak or what have you, yeah, you gotta be careful.
yeah, that doesn't sound ideal.
Yeah, you'd be even more surprised to know what fuckery the people that make your food get up to.
Oh, dude, yeah, I know. I come from a long lineage of germaphobes. We think about it. Don't worry. I also I was a fry cook
Oh
at
yeah,
a cheesesteak restaurant, which is very Philly of me. So I know what's up.
how was
This was
that?
like when I was like 18 though. What was it?
How was that experience? What do you remember of that?
It was disgusting. It was just like I'd have like fry oil all over myself. I'd stink. Like my shirts are all stained. But like it was a very classic like the summer before I went to college kind of job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like I feel like like I worked at like CVS for one summer before that. Like I had a lot of like very funny adolescent jobs.
Yeah, that layer of grease that you come home with, your whole skin is just covered up. It
I would
just
go to the
gets in your hair.
gym and I would go to the gym and I know I'd make the whole place smell like onions. It was like I was a menace to society as an 18-year-old.
That's funny. Yeah, them Phillies, you guys don't fuck around with the cheesesteak, man. Those things are whew,
Bro, whiz. That's what we say.
whiz.
Whiz. Yeah, cheesesteak with whiz.
I
Like
don't.
cheese whiz.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
No, it doesn't come out of a can though. It's like more like queso. It's not that gross. It's delicious. It's very yummy.
No, I mean, hey, man, if you're known for anything, to be known for that kind of a food, bro, you got it made.
Philly is low key the land of the sandwiches. We have cheesesteaks. We got roast pork. Roast pork is a really funny, like very local thing.
Look at that.
Yeah, there's Geno's in the top left of your whatever. I've been there a few times. That's the spot.
That's a famous spot in Philly.
Yeah, they call it Cheesesteak Times Square because there's two cheesesteak spots and like the roads look like Times Square. How they like do this like with that angle intersection. But yeah, that's that intersection. Geno's. It's gonna take you to South Philly. Yeah, there we are. There it is, Cheesesteak Times Square. That's it. Because the place in the bottom corner is another cheesesteak spot.
So
Dude,
we
this is
got
crazy. This
Geno's.
is Philly lore. So there's Geno's, and turn around up like 100 degrees, 180 degrees. There's Pat's right there. So yeah,
Whoa,
that's Cheesesteak Times Square in Philly.
that's awesome.
And
Holy shit.
this is like within walking distance plus or minus from Center City, which is like where, everyone lives. But yeah, this is the good stuff. I mean, like these places are pretty touristy, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
anyone who's a local is gonna be like, "Oh, those places suck," but like they are the staple.
Interesting. That's fucking cool. I love that. I love that the competition, like they could literally just like stand outside and stare at one another. They got
it's
that's some Bob's Burgers shit right there.
it's really funny. It's really funny. It is like, yeah, it's like a local. Sitting on this corner eating cheesesteak is a really funny vibe.
That's awesome, man. The closest thing that we have to something like that to Toronto was sadly this place shut down. It wasn't a food spot, but it was called Honest Ed's. And the reason that it was famous is because it's kind of not a general store, but a department store that sold like clothing and all the stuff that you needed for very cheap. So
It
a
looks like
lot of
Geno's.
exactly right, like with the sign and everything. Yeah, these were like real
Yeah,
light bulbs that they had incandescents. Um, I think it got shut down in like the mid 2010s. Now there's like a bunch of fucking condos there, which is so sad. But yeah, it was like a very cheap, like accessible store for people, and a lot of students live in the area, so obviously they frequent it. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
massive.
it looks sweet.
It was massive. I only went inside once, and yeah, they just had all these signs. Let's see if I can pull up some historical photos. That's the one thing I don't like about where Toronto's headed, is that some of these historic landmarks are really just getting wiped out. Do you see a lot of that in New York as well, or?
Um, I feel like New York loves their history. It's like a very like old city, you know, and I think they love that about it. I don't know. Um, I do think they're building like really, really tall skyscrapers all around the Chrysler Building, for instance, and that's gonna like ruin its skyline. But like besides that, I think they love the like old architecture, old vibe of some things. They're never gonna redo the subways, you know.
No, you don't think so?
I just feel like I don't know if they're even capable of doing that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe in the future, like in like 10 years, they'll like have like a super hyper modern um mode of transportation.
I've actually never seen your subway map.
Dude, you're
Not all
about
too
to have
familiar
your
with it.
mind. If you really have never seen this, you're gonna freak out.
Oh, this is fine. Yeah, because
Really?
I'm Russian, so like we have a subway system in Moscow, which is, I mean, it doesn't have I don't think it has nearly as many stops, but it gets pretty complicated because it goes into circle.
Oh, dude, I'm Russian too. I mean, not like from Russia, but like my like lineage.
Oh, say a word. Nice. What are
Yeah,
the chances?
Voynow. If Voynow is Russian, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean that's quite a few stops that you got to navigate.
Yeah, I'm on the green line right there, in Manhattan.
Yeah, no, Toronto subway system is a fucking joke. It's a joke.
Yeah,
Let me
so
see.
is Philly. It's just like a whatever. I do like subways though; they're satisfying. Like I like the. I mean, this one is silly.
Yeah, it's just we have two lines. This blue one doesn't even exist anymore because, well, technically it's not even the subway. It's an above ground. What was it called? This Scarborough
Like,
RT line. No, when you see this, look at this. This is not a subway car.
yeah.
It would go
It's like
above
a trolley.
ground. Yeah, like an old like rickety roller coaster is what you would feel like. Like you cannot hear shit when you're inside of one of these because they just rattle so
Yeah.
fucking hard. And then one day I think the bridge fell and one of these almost like collapsed into it, so they had to close it down permanently.
Yeah, check out this one's even worse. But yo, man, is it cool if I run soon?
Of course, yeah. I didn't know what you want
Yeah,
to do in terms of timing, so I don't want to keep you longer than you got to be.
yeah. No, it's like I don't know if you could tell. This is usually when I go to bed. I'm getting tired over here. Um,
Yeah, no
but
worries.
wait. So no, the subway map for Philly though. So what you're looking at here is the train. So the subway map's way
Oh, okay.
smaller. Subway map is just the orange, not even the orange one.
Is it this here? No, it's
No, because
rapid
the
transit.
red one is the train I take to like my parents' house in New Jersey. Like that's like those aren't even subways. So like it's small, the Philly subway
Hmm.
footprint.
Yeah, because the Moscow subway map, and they've expanded it since, but yeah, like
Holy
it's.
shit.
Oh yeah, it's fucking, bro. It's huge.
I
Oh
kind of
shit.
like that. That kind of makes a ton of sense. Wait, that dark one looks scary as hell. Dude, leave it to the Russians.
Bro, they built this shit in like the time before Stalin. Like you're talking about like building old subways. Like let me see if I can pull up some photos.
Wait, this is some like Russian world dominance lore. They're like, we're gonna have the best subway. I'm not gonna do a Russian
Oh
accent,
yeah,
but like you can.
oh yeah, no, 100%, absolutely. All of the like a lot of the infrastructure and everything that they built back then, it was with that view. Have you ever seen the inside of what the subway looks like in Russia?
No.
Your mind's gonna be fucking blown. Hold on. World's
Is
most
it like
beautiful
beautiful?
metro, bro.
Wow.
There's murals. marble statues, like
Holy shit.
mosaics.
Good for
Like,
them. Good for them. I'm glad some good stuff's going on in Russia.
well, this is way before. This is all built like during the
That's what I'm
communist
saying. That's
era.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like this is beautiful. Good for them.
Yeah, it's insane. St. Petersburg has a subway station that goes, I think it goes straight down for about 2 minutes or so, 2 or 3 minutes, I think,
Wow. Okay.
which is fucking terrifying. I went on it once, and yeah, like halfway through, you're like, oh, I'm like underground. Like I'm deep down here, and they built that
Great.
to escape the bombs, and thankfully I haven't had to use it.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Not at all what Toronto subway looks like. Bro, every time I go on, it's a problem. Somebody on the tracks, some health incident, fucking anything. Dude, we had a woman set on fire. Like everybody's like clowning New York for that. We had one in Toronto.
Toronto doesn't get enough heat. New York City gets all the heat.
It's true. New York gets all the fucking blame, but we got plenty of our own problems in Toronto. Man, I remember like this one guy that I got on the subway with, he was just rambling about how like the Queen had killed his parents, and I didn't have the heart to tell him that the Queen was already dead. I was like, dude, it's been a couple of years. I don't like you're a little bit late. Uh,
Let them off easy with this one.
oh man. But yeah, I won't keep you any longer than you got to be. I understand you got to get up early. I appreciate you taking the time. It's been really cool to have you on. The JFK shit, man. Like when I saw that, I was like, man, I gotta have this guy on because this is some next level shit.
Dude, I appreciate it, man. I'm like dude, I've been working for years to try to make stuff that people thought were cool. So I'm glad that like I'm finally at that level and we can talk about these things and share these things with people. So yeah, thanks for having me. This has been a unique experience. This is rare Jamievoynow content because like I've never spoken online really, so this is very rare.
Well, yeah, no, thanks for taking the time. I'd love to have you back on in the future. See if there's any new developments and anything that you're building. Like if you got a project you want to share, like by all means, man, hit me up. I would love to promote it because if this is what you're beginning with, I am very excited to see what you come up with in the future.
Let's fucking go. All right, cool. Well, nice meeting you, man. It's been a great chat.
Yeah, likewise. You have yourself a good night, and talk to you later.
Peace.